This story goes back to my early 20s when I lived in a college town and often hung out at a bar, which happened to be close to a gas station. One night, I was out with my girlfriends, chatting with some guys around 25 years old. I was already in a relationship with my now husband, so I kept things friendly while my friends tried to make connections. However, one guy took a special interest in me, viewing my relationship as more of a challenge than a roadblock. I tried to be gentle in my response, but it didn't go as planned. Eventually, I left with one of my friends, while the others stayed behind. One of the girls gave this persistent guy my phone number, and over the next couple of weeks, he bombarded me with threatening texts and disturbing pictures of dogs. On the night we met, I had told him about my volunteer work at a dog rescue and my love for dogs. He claimed to share the same love for dogs, but conveniently left out the part about using them for dog fights. The images he sent me were gruesome and deeply unsettling, leaving me speechless. One evening, I planned to visit the bar to hang out with my friends. Before that, I stopped at the gas station to fill up my tank. My credit card wasn't cooperating, so I headed inside to see the cashier. While entering, a man held the door for me. I thanked him politely and completed my purchase. As I made my way out, he was still standing there. This man began to follow me and also started yelling, and I soon realized who he was. It was late, and the area was nearly deserted. I was next to my car, getting ready to refuel, when I heard his footsteps on the concrete opposite the gas pumps, but they abruptly stopped. Curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced over to see him eerily standing on the other side of the pump I was using. Feeling uneasy, I considered grabbing my pepper spray from the center console. The situation took a chilling turn when he asked, "Are you alone?" I replied, "No, my boyfriend is in the car." As I opened the car door and discreetly reached for the pepper spray, I kept pretending to be focused on the gas pump. The man began to inch his way around the pump, heading towards my side. He taunted me, saying, "I don't see anyone in the car." My heart pounded as I pulled out the pepper spray, aiming it at him. He laughed and backed away, claiming he was just trying to make a conversation. He continued to retreat while still locked onto me. Feeling the tension, I finished pumping gas. I had about $10 in change, so I had to return inside to collect it. The man now stood between the shop and me. I faced a difficult choice but decided to get my change. I held the pepper spray at my side and kept my arm up, pointing it towards him. The man laughed and backed away as I walked back to the store. I informed the cashier about the man, but it seemed like he didn't fully grasp the gravity of the situation, or he didn't care. I don't know. Once I had the change, I cautiously peered out the glass door into the parking lot before leaving. I couldn't see the man, which meant he was likely hiding. I hesitated to go outside, fearing he might be lurking somewhere. Standing on the sidewalk in front of the shop, I scanned the area. Eventually, my friend Michi from the bar pulled into the parking lot as my savior. Michi was a tall, strong guy and weighing about 250 pounds. I rushed over to him and asked if he could check behind my car to see if there was man hiding. He seemed confused, inquired if I was okay, and proceeded to the other side of my car. As he got there, he yelled, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" as he confronted the lurking man. The man scurried away from behind my car, hurrying into the dark surrounding the gas station. Michi warned me to be careful before I left the parking lot in a hurry and went straight to home. I couldn't shake the feeling that the creepy man had been waiting to strike as soon as I unlocked my car doors, a disturbing thought that still lingers with me. Last year, I worked at a gas station deep in the Tennessee backwoods, and that's where this story unfolds. When I punched in at 8 p.m., the store was eerily quiet. I expected a relaxed night because this station was situated on a road less traveled. In the past, it used to be the main road until a new freeway rerouted the traffic about a decade ago. As a result, most businesses in the area packed up and left their old buildings to rot. Consequently, this stretch of road now hosted many abandoned buildings and became a haven for local druggies. Around 11 p.m., I had just an hour left in my shift. so I decided to be productive rather than twiddle my thumbs. Being 18, I worked the night shift alone, granting me the freedom to manage my time, provided I completed my tasks. Normally, this independence was great, because I could pretty much do as I pleased, as long as I kept up with my work. I noticed we were running low on barbecue chips, which meant I had to restock them from our storage space. Oddly, our storage area was tucked away in the station's basement. I never liked going there. It always gave me the creeps. I couldn't understand why the owner chose that unsettling location. As I ventured about halfway down the stairs, something on the other side of the room came crashing down, sounding like approaching footsteps. Panic overtook me, and I sprinted up the stairs, locking the basement door in a hurry. I retreated behind the counter and accessed the store's computer to check the security cameras. I flipped to the camera focusing on the basement, revealing a man standing there, smirking into the camera. His eyes betrayed a disturbing madness, yet he didn't resemble the typical local druggie. He appeared clean-shaven, wearing jeans and a button-up shirt. If he had walked into the store, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. However, seeing him in the basement, grinning into the camera, sent chills down my spine. I had no idea how and when he got in. About 3 or so minutes of him staring at me, he walked out of view of the camera. I kept the basement camera running to keep an eye on him if he appears again, while I examined the rewind footage from the front door camera, investigating his entry. The footage showed the man entering the gas station, opening the door, and then running straight to the basement. But then he stayed there, and hasn't left since. After witnessing this, I dialed 911 to report the suspicious man in the basement while on the phone. I heard a loud thump from the basement. I turned to the cameras, only to find the man facing the camera, his grin replaced by anger. It seemed like he was desperate to escape. More thumps echoed as he repeatedly kicked the basement door, and then an eerie silence followed. I resumed my conversation with the police, explaining the situation. 5 minutes later, the police arrived. 3 officers cautiously entered the basement, where they found the man huddled in a corner, whispering to himself. He was oblivious to their presence, clutching a kitchen knife and refusing to heed their orders. When the officers tried to apprehend him, he lunged at them, attempting to stab, but they managed to arrest him without injuries. To my surprise, he wasn't intoxicated or drugged. He was just downright crazy. This incident made me realize how fortunate I was not to have been seriously harmed that night. As far as I know, the man never explained his presence or his intentions in the basement. This story dates back to when I was 23. I had just finished a long day at work and was headed home for Christmas holidays. It was a long straight drive, but staying alert was a struggle. I was already exhausted from work, and hitting the road right after was taking its toll. To stay awake, I found myself making pit stops at random gas stations for coffee. By the time this incident occurred, I had already made several stops, feeling drowsy. Besides my fatigue, my car needed refueling. So I pulled into the first gas station I came across, located on the quiet side roads. I can't recall the exact brand. It might have been a Sunoco or Shell. There was only one other car in the parking lot. As I was walking towards the store to pay, I noticed a short guy wearing a hood walking past me. He suddenly stopped in his tracks and gave me a long, eerie stare as I passed by. Irritated, I asked, "What's your problem?" He replied with silence, and I continued on my way, thinking he was just another typical crackhead. I entered the store, paid for my gas, and even bought a lottery ticket. Once I was back outside, I started refueling my car. Glancing around, I found the place to be as deserted as I expected at this late hour. The mysterious man I had encountered earlier was nowhere in sight, and his car had disappeared too. So, I assumed he had left. After finishing fueling, I got back into the car and resumed my journey home. About halfway through the drive, I heard a sound from behind in the car. I glanced at the rear view mirror and saw someone in the back seat, staring back at me. The shock was so intense that I let out a scream that might have nearly exploded my lungs. I slammed on the brakes, shouting for the intruder to get out. It turned out to be the guy from the gas station. Panicking, I swung open the car doors and shouted for help, confident that someone nearby would hear and respond. Indeed, a few houses' porch lights flickered to life and doors creaked open. The man exited my car and threatened me, saying, "I should have slit your throat." As concerned residents emerged from their homes, he made a run for it down the street. I chose not to pursue him. A couple of people approached me to ensure I was okay, and I recounted the story of the stranger who had briefly occupied my back seat. By then, the man was out of sight, and I had no intention of recklessly driving after a psycho. I expressed my gratitude to the kind folks who had come to my aid and resumed my journey home, all the while making sure the man remained out of my sight. This incident stands as the most frightening experience of my life.